who have come to Wisconsin to support you, and I'm very glad to have the opportunity to join them. This is a moment in American history where we're called upon to respond with everything, with all that's in our heart and soul, so that we can reclaim the essence of economic justice before somehow it is lost on the corporate scaffold. We have to fight back. We fight for democracy. We fight back for our Constitution. We fight back for the right to assemble, for the freedom of association. We fight back for due process. And we fight back here in Wisconsin. People are experiencing this ferment that is coming from the events in Wisconsin and the events in my own state, where in the past week a bill has moved along that would strip the right of collective bargaining for Ohio's public workers, that would put them in harm's way should they decide to strike, because then replacement workers would come in and then would set the stage for privatization. And after all, isn't what this is all about? Corporations want to steal what they feel is theirs to begin with. They don't believe in such a thing as government of the people. What they believe in is government of the corporations, by the corporation, for the corporation. That might work on Wall Street, but it's not going to work in Wisconsin. We are here not for ourselves. We are here on behalf of all those who serve, whose work is dignity, who committed themselves to public service. We are here for them to say that they and all workers everywhere have a right to join a union, have a right to collective bargaining, have a right to strike, have a right to decent wages and benefits, have a right to a secure retirement, a right to a safe workplace, a right to be able to participate in the political process, and a right to reclaim their government. What we have here today in Wisconsin is the beginning of a new civil rights movement. Because historically, we have to understand that historically, the right that workers had came apace of the civil rights movement, which resulted in breaking slavery, because working people understood that unless they fought slavery and joined with the abolitionists, that ability to be able to make a living was going to be compromised. So what we have now here is the 21st century version of a civil rights movement where we understand that an economic democracy is a precondition of a political democracy. So, let this be called the Madison Declaration for an economic democracy, and that is everyone has a right to a job. Everyone has a right to an education. Everyone has a right to health care. Everyone has a right to retirement security. Everyone has a right to housing. And everyone has a right to peace. results in wealth being accelerated to the top, that results in tax cuts going to the rich, that results in energy policy turned over to the oil companies, that results in defense policy turned over to the arms manufacturers, that results in endless war, that results in a national security state. It's all a part of the same thing, and it's up to us to fight back, 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 fight back. The objectives of corporations are different than those of government. They would like us to believe that the corporate ethic is what government should be about. But we know that corporations are here for one thing and one thing only, and that is profit. Government belongs not to the private sector, but to the public sector, and our responsibility in government is to provide service. The private sector would like to convert the assets of the public sector for their own use. That's why in your own legislation, in the bill, you could see that there's an attempt in the bill to try to privatize your electric services. You could see that. I know about this. I fought and beat a privatization of a municipal electric plant in Cleveland many years ago. I understand about privatization. I understand that what these corporations want is they want total control over our government. They want, keep the light on, they want total control of our government. In Michigan, we learned that the state legislature there is passing legislation that will enable a fiscal manager to come in and literally abolish city governments and school districts. Now, why are they doing it? They'll do this so that the city governments and the school districts can be run for banks and for Wall Street. They're going to make sure that Wall Street will get its pound of flesh, that Wall Street will be able to handle, through these managers, they can break union contracts, they can reduce the city government to mush, city councils and mayors don't mean anything, school boards don't mean anything. We are fighting for our democracy here. We are fighting for it. We will fail to cover it. A program of economic reform which will wrap its arm around all of the movements in our states to try to regain control of state government. Because you cannot succeed unless, from the national level, there is the movement that some of the young people talked about earlier that puts into place programs that can create jobs for all, that can create education for all, that can create health care for all, that can protect retirement security, and that can create peace. Right now, we are told in Washington that when we want various social programs, we're being told, well, we can't afford it. But when they ask for trillions of dollars for war, no one said, oh, we can't afford it. What they say is just borrow money from China and Japan and just keep the war going. Part of our program for economic reform is that we end the wars in We stop this national security state. We bring our troops home from around the world. We stop the Pentagon control of our government. We bring our home to the from those wars, so their profits become inevitable. But we have to establish a new standard, which is what the Department of Peace is all about. That we have the capacity to create peace, that we're not just victims of the world we see. We become victims of the way we see the world when we buy into the psychology of war, which is a false psychology, which is not something that we should accept as the way the world should be. We have a right to accept a world free of war. We have a right to accept a world where there is plenty. We have a right to create a world that has plenty. I also want to say that when we talk about, if we are going to create a context where state governments can survive for the people, then there has to be accountability. Now, you're showing in Wisconsin, you're determined there's going to be accountability for these state officials who are not responding and are doing the bidding of corporations. I want to add this. There's another thing our country needs to do. We need to add accountability and insist on accountability for those who took us into war based on lies. I want to say this in Wisconsin because it needs to be said somewhere, but it's time that those who took us into war based on lies, they ought to be prosecuted. Told we don't have any money. Joseph Stiglitz pointed out that the war in Iraq would cost at least $3 trillion. We're at the $500 billion mark with Afghanistan, but we will have a vote this week, and the vote will be to end the war in Afghanistan. It will be Thursday, House Concurrent Resolution 28. I'm proud to sponsor that. We're going to get another vote on it. One of the great myths of our time is that we're told, well, we just don't have the money for these programs. We have money for war, we established that, but I want to offer this for your consideration because it's actually the path out, not just for Wisconsin, but for all the states who are struggling with some legitimate budget problems. And we have to look at it this way. We have to start to examine this debt-based economic system, which puts us believing that the only way we can have money is to have debt. How did we come to believe this? We came to believe this because you have the Federal Reserve that was established in 1913. They privatized the money system, okay? We have the fractional reserve system where banks create money out of nothing, and then they pyramid the debts and stick to taxpayers when they go bust. We have a government that says that, gee, we don't have the money to fix our roads, our bridges, our water system, sewer system. I want you to think about this now. This is a time in this debate when transformation is in the air, when evolution is in the air. This is time for us in this debate to start to look at the monetary system itself and to ask ourselves whether it isn't time to put the Fed back under the control of the government, to end the fractional reserve of